Welcome to this week's episode of Work the Left Side. I am joined for a third time, our first three-time returning guest, friend of the show, Mr. RPD, the natural born fighter. How we going, mate? You all right?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, dude, I'm good. Thanks for chatting with me again.
Yeah, thank you for having me on again.
Dude, like I said before, it's always a pleasure. Legitimately, enjoy talking to you. Anybody who appreciates wrestling has got the love for it that you have. It's an easy chat, mate. In all fairness, so obviously, as mentioned, third time on the show. First time we spoke, you were just getting into the wrestling, obviously after the boxing retirement. You'd had like a few months, in ring, cracking on with it.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to you again a couple of years later. You made your mark, you built a following, you had your fan base, you'd worked for various promotions, and you was just on the grasp of starting to get titles or starting to challenge for titles, at least anyway. Obviously, since last time we spoke, it's like a trilogy, it's like a little journey. We've gone from the start
it's been quite the
to
ride,
the middle,
hasn't it?
to the middle.
Quite the ride.
And well, you basically climbed a mountain, mate. And we've been there, talked about it along the way, and you're at the peak now. You are at top of the mountain with the belts, making your mark, and just having banger matches and moments and stories as well. So how have you found it all, man? Obviously, you must be chuffed. You've reached the apex.
Amazing, mate. I feel amazing, and it's like, when I hear you talk back like that about that first time I was on the show, and I was just getting into it, and you were kind enough to have me on the show, and it was a chance for me to kind of get a bit of publicity about going into wrestling and whatnot. And then, like you say, a couple of years later, COVID got in the way and whatnot. But a couple of years later, I got offered to come back on it again, and things have progressed a little bit from there. And obviously, I was more trained and more ready for professional wrestling. Something I wasn't fully aware of on the first interview that we had. But you learn quick how hard it is. And then, like I say today, everything I aim to do, I've done now. I know that sounds a thing, but genuinely, like, if I could have said 3-4 years ago, what do you want to do in it? If you're going to do it, what do you want to do in it? It would be to work for big promotions in the the Northwest scene and the UK scene, and win titles there. And I've done it now. I've done it in 3 of the biggest companies in certainly in the Northwest, but debatably in the country, I would say all 3 of them. But I mean, I'm both proud of it. I'm really, really proud of it, but I am kind of grateful for it as well, because I know the faith that them companies have put in me. But basically they've strapped a rocket to me and just tried to hang on. And I always said on the build up to it, I won't let them down, being their babyface chasing for the titles. But now I have got the titles, I certainly won't let them down. Now you'll see. I have big plans for the titles and the future. So yeah, exciting times.
Good. Yeah, definitely, dude. And like I said, the one thing that's always shone through when we've talked is it's just your passion, your love for wrestling. We talked about the first time, like when you got into wrestling, obviously after the boxing career. It wasn't something that you just got into just for shits and giggles because you thought you could do. You had a genuine love for wrestling years prior to that. And then and I've said it before. It shows, dude, and I think that's why people are kind of drawn to you, especially as a babyface. You just work really well as the babyface because people are drawn to that kind of energy. And obviously, whatever you're doing is working. You got belts. Companies are entrusting you
Yeah.
to carry the load, basically.
Yeah. That, you know, when you win the belt, in effect, I think what they're saying is that they're happy for you to be the face of that company for them, you know, or that face of that brand for them, which is a huge honour when there's so many talented people about, and there really is so many talented people about, and I've had the luck to wrestle a lot of them now. But yeah, like I say, I try and deliver in the ring, as you said. You said I've put some banger matches on. I think I've put some banger matches on. That's sort of the consensus from the crowd, and you know the feedback I'm getting from my peers and stuff. So very excited about that. But then you did mention another thing, and that kind of sums me up, because although of course I want to put good matches on, and I do.
Stories.
That isn't enough for me. That isn't enough. It isn't just about, you know, putting my boots on and going and putting a good match on that everyone backstage says, "Oh, that was a great match." That is, you know, it's very nice. It's very nice, but that isn't my main priority. My main priority is always, and always will be, did the fans enjoy it out there? You know, and to add to that, again, not just was the match good, were they invested in the match? You know, were they with me the whole way? You know, up and down for the heel and the baby face, but were they with me? And the way that you get to that isn't just how good your wrist lock is. That is important, and of course you have to be a safe worker, and you have to be as professional as you can. Of course you do, but at the same time, you said it before. Nearly every promotion I'm working for, I do something a little bit different. But on the great whole, we're telling a story. We're telling a story, and that's why people get behind me. People get behind. It isn't just the in-ring work. The in-ring work is part of it. It's we are getting them invested. We're getting a crowd invested in that story, that show, and making them want to buy tickets again for the next show, to come and watch the continuation of that story and where it goes and the ups and the downs of it and whatnot. And you said it before, I have always been passionate about pro wrestling, always, but it isn't just the pro wrestling, the in-ring pro wrestling that I've been passionate about. It's the whole thing. Like for me, I was fascinated as a kid with Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, and you know, people now you know, you get all these smart marks to turn around and say, yeah, but they weren't that good. They weren't that good. You know, these better wrestlers and blah 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 blah. And I'm sure they were, but it didn't matter because at the time they were the main event. Hulk Hogan or more, and you could have got anybody in the world, the best wrestlers in the world. They weren't the main event. The main event was Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. And that has continued throughout eras. Austin come along, Rock come along, you know, John Cena came along, and all these guys are great wrestlers, but I don't think any of them at their time was the best wrestler in the world. I don't think they were the best wrestler in the world. I don't think you could ever call The Rock the greatest wrestler in the world, but there was one main event, and it was The Rock. He was the man. Do you know what I mean? Because of all the other things that matter in pro wrestling as well. You know, the promos, the stories, you know, the engagement, the fans, the merchandise sales, all that stuff matters. And, you know, for every company I've worked for, obviously, I think that passion has kind of been seen. That's how I want to try and tell my stories, and how I want to kind of relive my childhood memories through what I'm doing now. You know, to these audiences, that's what in effect I'm attempting to do. But at the same time, I look at it, and this does go back to the boxing. I look at it from a business point of view as well. And I think that's why, in my opinion, I think that's why a lot of the promotions, you know, are happy with my work and what I do, because yes, I deliver for them in the ring, and yes, I deliver with them from a story, but also I help genuinely bring people to a show. You know, I get tickets sold for them, which matters. That matters. You know, like surely we want to be in front of the biggest crowds we can be in. You know, like I'll never understand it when I see. And by the way, these hundreds of lads and ladies who I do see promote shows, and every show they're on, you know they're on, and blah blah blah. But I'd never understand why you wouldn't do that. I can't. It blows my mind that you have agreed to go on a show and you don't want to promote that for one, for yourself, just to get more eyes on you, but for two, but get more eyes on the show, because that does get more eyes on you. You know, the more people that are at that show, you know, it's not even just your match. You know, just promote the show, because you know, other matches, other things that are going on. Because if you do that, more people show up to the show, and there's more chance for you to be seen and whatnot. You know, and we all win together, don't we? We all win together. So, yeah, that's basically what I've always tried to do, and so far so good. It seems to be working. It must be working a bit.
Whatever you're doing, mate, it is working. But you are spot on. Yeah, I've never. I saw on social, I think probably about a month or two ago, Shreddy in Newcastle basically just did a tweet, basically sort of saying Wrestling 101. If you're on a show, promote it, share the poster, retweet. You know, just like just spread the word out of any show you're on, because you're getting eyes on you, you're getting eyes on the promotion, you get more seats in, which means that the promotion is going to continue to grow, which means you've still got a place to work.
But you know, Shreddy, for example. I mean, I had a feud with Shreddy at TNT last year. I've worked with him quite a bit. I've got to know him. Big mate of mine. You know, within the business. But also someone who's shrewd and gets it. He just gets it. You know, he looks like a superstar to Shred. You know, he's got the body of a professional wrestler, the ultimate professional wrestler when you look at him. But that's the point. He understands his role, and he understands what he does, and like I say, he understands it's a business, and promoters, any promoter, it doesn't matter in any sport, by the way, they want to sell they want to make as much money as they can in anything they do, and it's our job as the workers of said company, whether that be wrestling or anything else, to make that happen. If that happens, you keep your job because you need it. You become an asset to that promoter, and that's, you know, Shreddy is one of the guys you get that. But that's how business works. That's how any business works. You know what I mean?
Exactly. The thing is, it's so obvious it shouldn't need to be stated, but it
is so obvious.
It does have to be stated. But what you was mentioning before, you know, about like Hogan's and the Warriors and the stories. 5-star matches are awesome. You know, they stand up to repeat viewing. But it's not what gets remembered. You remember the moments. You remember the climax of the story. You remember when the good guy eventually beat the bad guy, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Macho Man getting bit by the snake at his wedding. You know, key example is Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin. The guy was one of the greatest technical wrestlers until mid '97 when he broke his neck and he changed his style. But there's only after that he then became the biggest star in the world.
He became the biggest star in the world when he was technically half the man he was. But what it was then, it became about character. It became about story, and the crowd got behind that character rather than, like I say. I mean, I don't want to shit on anybody because you know, everyone, wrestling is for everybody, and as it's a variety show. It is a variety show, and some people like story and moments, and that I would definitely fall under that category. That's what's always drawn me to pro wrestling. But then there's those who, like you say, love a 5-star match, and they love the technicalities, just the pure technicalities of wrestling. And there's nothing wrong with that because you know, it's an art, isn't it? But I would, in my opinion, again, I would say they are of the minority of the overall audience of pro wrestling. You know, the majority, the main nucleus of pro wrestling fans are in it for the story and the characters and the, all that. Because then you've got to add the kids into that as well. This is the next step. The kids are all part of that, and we're talking now about the WWE model, but there's a reason the WWE model is the most successful model in the world, and won't ever really. I know they say, these rivals, that no one will ever get that close to them. They'll close in a bit, but they'll never completely rival the WWE, because they know what they're aiming at, and all these Japanese promotions, and AEW are a little bit different, because AEW are trying. I think they're trying to please both sets, which is sometimes a hard thing to do, by the way. But I think they're trying to give you that and still keep the kids involved, as well, which is difficult. Each to their own. But for me, I'm admittedly a WWE guy, and I always have been. And that's what I grew up on as a kid. And can I watch a Japanese? I get matches sent to me by a lot of my peers and friends now to watch, and I watch them, and Japanese matches and others that are nothing to do with WWE. And I, of course, I absolutely love them for little things that I can try and nick and stuff like that. But I'll always go back to, I've said it numerous times on podcasts. What's your favourite match? Gun to the head. What's your favourite match you've ever seen? Austin Rock, WrestleMania 17.
Oh, really? Yeah.
My favourite match.
It's in my top 5. Austin
Rock, WrestleMania 17. Was it the best match? No, it wasn't, because they only punched and kicked each other, really. Not a lot happened, but there was a story started to develop throughout it and whatnot. It was the build to the match. It was the whole event. The whole event was just, everything was, to me, was perfection. Well,
WrestleMania 17 is the best Mania.
Oh,
that's not up for debate. I generally will allow anybody their own opinion on stuff, except for that. If you don't agree with that, you
it was, well, like I say, it was certainly my favourite WrestleMania,
yeah.
And that was, although I mean, it absolutely broke my heart, because I was the biggest Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, and the big heel turn. But to me, I just thought it had everything. Had everything, and of course, I could then start throwing matches out like Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels and whatnot, to try and get my reputation back intact after saying that. But the truth is, yes, as a wrestling match, Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels was better, but not to me. It wasn't. Not to me, it wasn't, because to me, I was so invested in Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. I was able to forgive the lack of technicality, if you will, and that kind of has been my thought process for wrestling on the British independent scene. At my own wrestling, I've never tried, and I never will try to compete with some of the technical guys that are on this scene, because they're so good and they've been doing it for so long. And I could name numerous guys. Yeah. I could name numerous guys, so I'm not going to, because if I miss anybody, then it's like, oh, fuck. But there's so many. I've wrestled a lot of them, and there are others that I haven't wrestled. Phenomenal, and they've got this, British strong style, whatever, and it's brilliant. It's great to watch. So why in the fuck would I try and try and mimic that? Because all I will be is a bad impersonation of it. What I've tried to do is be completely my own thing, so that when I'm on a show, I stand out on that show, because no one's doing what I'm doing. And that doesn't mean I'm doing 450 splashes, because there's plenty of guys who can do them as well. I've tried to really incorporate my past and my boxing style into pro wrestling, and maybe offer a different type of match than everything else that is on that card, for better or for worse as well, because as I say, these guys who do certain things miles better than I can. but I ain't aiming to beat them. So that's that. I think that's the difference. I think that is the difference. I'm not aiming to match that sort of match. I'm aiming for them to match my kind of match. do you understand what I mean? So
that makes
yeah.
You don't want a card full of the same stuff, like you said.
No,
It's a variety show. It's a
the
circus.
variety show.
It's a big wrestling cliche. Is a show should be like a circus. And back to what you were saying beforehand about I mean, I'm AEW through and through. I love AEW, but I openly admit WWE is at the top of the mountain. It's it's the boss, it's the daddy of promotions because it has the formula of storytelling. It's a family thing. Kids can go to it. It's like I watched Collision at the weekend, and you had a 60-minute tag team 2 out of 3 falls match with FTR versus Bullet Club Gold. Perfect example, banging match. But if I was a kid at that show, I would have been bored shitless.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, AEW have got it tricky because they're trying to please both audiences. If you want the technical matches, awesome.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I've heard about that. I've not seen that match yet, but I will watch it. I will watch it because I've heard it's absolutely amazing, and I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. But again, that will please a minority of the overall wrestling fan base, and there will be a large part of that community that don't get it, and will be like, bit boring, really, that. And the guys who love it will never understand them. People are like, well, how can you like wrestling if you don't like that? But because wrestling's so many other things, I mean, your example, one of your best examples you can use, which I think even the hardcore wrestling fans will they can almost put it aside, is the longest reigning gimmick of my lifetime has been a dead man.
Yeah.
A dead man, someone who's meant to be dead. do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's that respected that even the guys who are so into everything kind of like they'll let that pass. But that the truth is, though, how ridiculous is that?
Oh,
That's what wrestling is. Because I believe when I was a young lad, I thought he was dead. I genuinely did think he was. When I was a little kid, I thought he was dead. And then as I grew up and you understand it more, but then you start respecting the other sides of what he does and all that, But yeah, I mean, each to their own. But I think anyone who's listening to this can probably ascertain my sort of thought process for pro wrestling as well. Just by the things I'm saying and my opinions on certain things, taking nothing away from anybody else's style. I have nothing but respect for some of the lads who I watch and on the big time as well. And I think, wow, how are you doing stuff like that? Because I know how hard basic things are. So to be able to do it at that level, fantastic. But it isn't the wrestling I got brought up on.
I totally agree. It's like films. It's like limiting yourself to one genre of film. Why would you only watch action films when you could watch, comedies, horrors, rom-coms?
What it's like saying is like, it's like saying The Godfather is the greatest film that's ever been made, right? And there's an argument that maybe it is. There is an argument that maybe it is. 2, Godfather 2. Well, I'm a 2 man actually, but anyway. But what I'm saying is, all right, Godfather 1 or 2, the greatest film that's ever made. But that's like saying, well, because it's the greatest film I've ever made, I'll never watch a comedy because what's the point?
Yeah.
What exactly. What it's not going to be better than Godfather 2. Probably not. No, but it's different. Yeah. It's completely different, and it's aiming at a different audience and everything to it. So yeah, that is kind of how I see things. There's a place for everything as long as it's done in the right way.
And it's not just that it's different, or comedy's not just, it's entertaining. It doesn't have to be. It can be different as long as it's entertaining. Entertaining is such a wide spectrum of everything. You can do different style things as long as it's entertaining. That's the key word. Is it doesn't matter whether it's technical, flippy, hardcore, deathmatch, whatever it is, whatever style of wrestling it is, as long as it's entertaining.
I said it at the beginning, and I will reiterate it now because this is the truth. Do I want to finish a match, go backstage, and all my peers and guys and girls who I really respect say, right, that was a really good match? Of course I do. Of course I do. Because it's a tight knit community of wrestling, and you know, we all kind of watch each other and, you know, judge ourselves, I would imagine, off each other as well and whatnot. And of course, when you hear guys that you really respect and you've watched for a long time, and you look up to what they do and they say nice things about you, that's a, you know, it's a lovely feeling, isn't it? But I promise you, as nice as that is, the only thing that actually matters to me, genuinely, that bothers me or doesn't bother me, is, do the crowd like it? And I ask them, you know, and or I can tell from the reaction of them or whatnot. But, you know, I speak to a lot of the fans after the shows and stuff like that, and they give me their opinions, and that is how I know if I've done a good job or not.
Yeah,
that's when I know I've done a good job. If my opponent's come back to the backstage area, he's safe, he's all right, but then the crowd say, that was brilliant, I loved it, I can't wait to come to the next one. That's it for me. Of course, of course, I want nice, you know, I want critique where people big me up, but again, I quite like being critiqued where it's not always positive, so that I can work on being safer or working, you know, a bit better at certain things or whatnot. But the main factor is definitely the fans, and it will always be the fans.
Well, yeah, there's no offense to anybody, you know, in the locker room, but it's the fans that buy the tickets. If you're not pleasing the fans, then you're not getting paid. You know, you can't pay bills with respect, unfortunately. Like I say, it's great. You do kind of, you know, but the key thing, like you said earlier, is it's a business.
Yeah.
You know, if the fans are happy, they'll come back, they'll buy more tickets,
100%.
You get paid, you get booked, you've got a job.
100%. It was Austin who said it. I listened to the podcast not long ago and he said it. But it was Austin who said, if you are in pro wrestling and you don't want to be champion or top of the card, then why are you in it? And that is exactly how me personally, that's how I feel. Like, I came to this, and I spoke to you even on the first podcast when I first got started, and I knew nothing. And I'm not saying I know loads now. I just know a lot more than I did then. And even then, I was saying it's to get to the top of the card, because that's how I am. I'm in it to win. I'm in anything I do to win, to be the best, or to be the best I can be at it. You know, but then to link that then to what we're talking about. If I want to be top of the card, champions, stay at the top of the card, that then comes down to the fans.
Yeah.
The fans have got me. I'm under no illusion. I know that the fans got me to these positions because ultimately they made the promoter decide. Because their reactions, their messages and whatnot of asking me to, is RPD going to be on the next show, all this sort of stuff. They're sort of buying tickets if I am on a show and whatnot to make sure that there's someone, you know, there to support me. They brought me to the dance.
Yeah.
But to stay at the dance, I've got to keep them coming as well. You know what I mean? I've got to keep them coming, and thankfully, you know, they want to keep supporting me. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and be exactly what, you know, I need to be for them to stay invested and stay involved in the shows.
That's it. I mean, and in all fairness, you know, you obviously know this. Wrestling fans are a fickle bunch, so as long as you keep them on side, it's all good. Obviously, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Well, these promotions, these belts. Obviously, I spoke to Johnny a month or so ago about the GPW anniversary show.
Yeah,
dude. Obviously, that's your wrestling birthplace, really, wasn't it?
That was. that was a special night. Genuinely, that was a special night. I've talked to you before about Johnny. Johnny is a good friend of mine and has been for years, well before wrestling. He used to follow me when I was boxing, and then when I retired, I think he knew that I was struggling with it a little bit, and it was him who contacted me and got me involved into this mad little world. But I'm so grateful for Johnny, and I'll never truly be able to thank him for everything he's done for me, because all these things that are happening now are because of him. You know, I have worked really, really fucking hard to get to the positions I've got in. But I wouldn't have been in a position to work really hard had it not been for Johnny, because this was just never on my agenda. As much as I loved it, I just didn't know there was access to it. That was it. Especially of when I started. I mean, I started pro wrestling training when I was 31 years old. You know, I'd just had a 15-year fighting career leading into that, so it was the last thing on my mind to start something new and whatever. But it's happened, and you know, I mean, even now, no matter what happens, whatever happens now going forward, it's been a success.
Yeah,
it's been a success now. If I had to stop tomorrow, I could only ever say it's been a great success. You know, so to go back to GPW where I started, brought back loads of memories, showing up outside the Monaco ballroom and whatnot. Because like I say, that's where it all started for me. And anyone who was there, the crowd, the audience, and any of the wrestlers who were on that show, I don't know if you interview any of them, they will tell you there was just a special feeling in the air all day. When we got there, it just felt like an occasion. That's all I can say. And the shows from every match, from top to bottom on the card, was brilliant, and varied again. Because again, I'm not saying every match was a 5-star match. I'm saying it had everything that you want. It had, you know, it had comedy, it had action, it had drama, it had storyline, it had everything. But Johnny's very good at that. Johnny, yes. You know, Johnny's very good at that, and I think obviously a lot of the way I look at wrestling, although it's come from my childhood, is probably what I've got from Johnny anyway, of listening to him when I first got into it and what he's looking for on the show and whatnot. And I've just tried to kind of apply that to everywhere I've gone since. So, yeah, magic is the word. That's the only word I can say. Magic returning to GPW. I'm very proud to have gone back, and yeah, long may it continue.
That's it, because obviously, yeah, I spoke to him before the show. I know what the hopes were, you know, what the ideas were, you know, for the show. I'm just glad it was a success.
Yeah.
Nice to hear you sort of say, you know, it just felt like the atmosphere was electric.
Yeah.
It was just, it sounded like, from what I've seen, it was just an amazing night, and everybody.
I know. Johnny needed it to be successful as well, because again, this is the part people don't see. From a financial and a business side of things, venues now across the country have got other options. They've got ways of making money. In the Monaco's case, you know, your likes of Bongo Bingo and whatnot like that have come along. But the crowd was rammed. It was absolutely rammed in there, as busy as I've seen it for a long time. And I know it was a success. You know, it's been a success, you know, critically, but it's been a success, I think, financially as well for Johnny, which I'm very, very happy for, and I'm glad. And I saw today he's announced his next show already, and he's put his 4 dates down for next year as well. So that can only be a positive thing. That means that the venue must be happy, I think, with how it all gone. So yeah, very, very good news. Very good news.
That's it. But yeah, obviously it's not just GPW. Although Johnny likes to purely focus and think, when I was speaking to him, you know, in his head, right, you know, he's just GPW. The only promotion, you know, in the country. But thankfully that's not the case, because you would only have one belt. Obviously, but, you know, OPW.
Well, I'd have no belts, because Johnny's got to put me near the belts. Yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, not that. Yeah.
I'll force his hand. I won't force his hand. The crowd will force his hand. The crowd will force his hand.
It's yeah, sorry, dude. You're just champion everywhere in my head at the minute. I think that's what it is. But yeah, you got OPW. That's a big thing recently.
Yeah. Well, again, so they're moving from Grand Pro Odyssey. So Odyssey was the first promotion who took a chance on me after COVID. So I had the year at GPW, and I had a great first year, and we told some really good stories and whatnot. And then COVID hit, and it just completely scuppered everything. So my training and everything, because I was only, I think 9 months into training, or 9 months or something, and I'd done 3 or 4 shows or whatever. So I just got thrown in at the deep end very early, and I had to learn how to swim quickly. But although I found that I was a decent, adaptable swimmer, obviously there was so much more I needed to get to the level I needed to get. I needed so much more than that, and then COVID hit, and it just literally stopped all training, and it stopped everything. It stopped the world really, but it's certainly from a British independent wrestling point of view, it completely scuppered everything. So I'll be honest with you, I genuinely did think about packing in there, the wrestling, but not because of any other reason than I just thought that the ship had sailed for me. Really, just as I was getting going, it kind of cut my legs off, and I need to retrain and all this sort of stuff. And then, obviously, as things started to open back up, I got talking to. I met a very good friend of mine now called Rick Marcus, who became he's become a really good mate of mine. I've tagged with him and everything. But he had connections in Morecambe, and he knew about this Morecambe show that was coming up, and it was him who said, "Listen, I'd love you to come over to Morecambe with me and do this show." And he told me that the Morecambe fans were something different, something else, and you just nod, don't you? Like, yeah, sure. And because I've fought all over the country, I've boxed all over the country, but I've wrestled all over the country now. But when I tell you, there is no place like Morecambe. There really isn't. There really anything. I can't explain. It's very hard to explain. Like they absolutely live for live pro wrestling. They live for it, and they've got that saying, "It's really Morecambe." Well, yes, it is. yes, it is. And no, again, just so honoured. Thank you to Rick. Thank you to all the owners of Odyssey, who Ryan and Ethan and Liam and all the guys who got me involved, because they took a chance on me just on the word really of Rick, to let me come in. But straight away, like from day one, I mean, I did a promo at Odyssey, the last show, when I just won the title, and to be honest, there was no there was no character involved in it. I was telling the truth. Like, literally, everything I said was the literal truth. And I said on that, you guys were behind me from the second I walked through that curtain, and it's just built and built and built since then, and it has. And again, they were so vocal and so amazing to me, the crowd, then that I think Odyssey as a company had to change the plans a little bit, because it was a snowball that was just building, and it's led me to the title, and I'm so proud of it, because I absolutely love wrestling in Morecambe, love it, and I love Odyssey, and they've got a special place to me now, because again, they may not have been my first company, but they were the first company when GPW took a hiatus to take a chance on me after lockdown, when there'd been a long delay, and I thought not people forgot about me, but there was much bigger fish to fry at the time, and they came knocking. So always remember that, And luckily enough, now I can say I'm the champion, and I'm very proud to be. And it's about making them shows as big as I can, and keeping them crowd, to keep that crowd coming in.
And in all fairness, like you said, if you can be the champ somewhere where it's real, in their hearts and their soul,
100%.
dude, that's like the biggest compliment you can get. You're the real champ of Morecambe.
100%.
You don't get much
100%.
better.
Yeah. I'm gonna apply for mayor of Morecambe when I retire from. I think I've got half a chance. I'll be honest. I think I've got half a chance. But so there was that. The first company to put a title on me, which is like a pinch me thing, really, is TNT. Now, TNT I'd heard about when I was wrestling for GPW. When the COVID happened and everything, they were still very prevalent on social media, and they had a lot of shows and whatnot. And I watched a lot of the shows, and then when lockdown first ended, I went to a seminar with Bonesaw and Damien Corbin, the Kings of the North. So one of the first training sessions I was able to go to after lockdown was them, and I went with Rick, and we went to Liverpool and trained at the Claw training school there with them, and then, which was amazing because them two are just unreal, and have become good friends of mine now. But they were on the same day. TNT had an Extreme show on in Liverpool, so I said to Rick, "Listen, while we're here, do you want to go watch a show?" And so we went down and we had a beer and we watched the show, and I just got in there, and it's like it is a pinch me moment, because I was sat in there and I thought it was fucking brilliant, the show, and obviously it was all the emotions of seeing live wrestling again after such a long time, and seeing a couple of people who I knew on the show and stuff like that. I remember just sat in the crowd and I thought, I would love to wrestle here. I'd love to be able to wrestle here. And then it just like a snowball, because of what was happening at Odyssey and Wrestle Island, which I'm going to get to in a minute. There's stuff like that. I got a call off Jay, who runs TNT, and he was running something called Superstar Wrestling as well, another company. And do I want to have a match on that, and end up main eventing that match on my first Superstar show against Rick. So, we had this match, and obviously the crowd there liked it, and Jay liked it. And then I got a call a few days later, do I want to debut for TNT Ignition as like a mystery partner? And I was working with Simon Miller, Brian Aidenson, Synergy, and Shreddy, like a 6-man thing. And I was like the mystery surprise partner, which I was, when he said it, I mean, I was honoured to be asked to go and work for TNT. But I was also thinking, like, what a letdown, mystery partner, mystery partner, and it's going to be me. But I put a video up at the time, like my music kit, and they announced my name, and the crowd went absolutely berserk, which blew my mind, because I thought, like, how do they even know who I am? But obviously, in the world now of social media and whatnot, things have got about. And ever since that day, again, the snowball started that day. And I worked with them for a year, then every Ignition show. And the crowd just got louder and louder and louder every time. And ultimately, Jay put me in for the title. And there we go, I'm really proud of that, because, like I say, I felt not out. What's the word? I don't want to say out of my depth, but when I watched it, I just felt like, that's where I was aiming to go. And then a year later, I was the champion of their Ignition brand. So yeah, mind blowing, really, how quick that happened.
But again, like I said, it's the fans. The reaction. If you hadn't got that reaction when you came out, it's a whole different story.
100%, 100%. That has been my story. That is my story. Like, for some reason, I have a connection to a crowd, and I think I want to say it's from my time at boxing. I want to say it's because ever since I've been young, I've performed in front of live crowds, and I know it's a different thing, but the objective of boxing is to win a crowd over, win a judges over, and make them think you're the better fighter and the one that they should win the fight. And I think part of that has been pulled into the pro wrestling now, of how I can maybe simulate that in a pro wrestling environment. I can, and also pure luck, if I'm being honest. So rather than give myself too many props, like the crowds have just literally been fucking amazing to me since the day I got there. And I think there are factors with that. I think the fact that I've come from a legitimate background straight away pricks their ears up a little bit. I think there's a believability in me, even though I'm not as big as some of the wrestlers. The difference is, even when you put me with big guys, people still believe I can beat them. And that's massive. That is massive, because obviously sometimes you get smaller wrestlers and you get put in a bigger, and you just think, well, you'd kill him. You'd kill him. So it loses the concept of it. Whereas I think what's always helped me is, no matter who they've put me in with, whether it be someone my own size, someone smaller than me, or even someone who's 6'5", 7'4", people still in the back of the mind think, you know what, Ryan's got half a chance here, and that is why I think they get behind me the way they do. And I do make effort. I do make effort with the crowd. Like I try and see as many of them as I can after a show, and sign whatever they want, or just make a little bit of time to make them understand I appreciate the fact that they're cheering for me, and I hope they come back to shows and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that is the key with me, 100%. The crowd have got me to where I am now, and I've got to keep that ball rolling. I'm just got to keep that ball rolling.
That's it, and it's not a bad thing, because, like I said, it's not just about what you do in the ring. It's about having that connection with the audience, the energy, the electricity, the charisma, be able to pull them in.
Of all the things that I do, that I think, in my opinion, that's my strongest point. Like, I've become a competent wrestler. I can put a good match on. I can work with guys, and I can do all that sort of stuff. But the one thing that I can nearly guarantee, well, it's been 100% ratio so far, every promotion I've worked at, is that before I go back behind that curtain, that crowd will be cheering for me. And so I'm lucky that way. I'm lucky that way. So I'm very grateful, and I've just got to keep working. Got to keep working and getting better.
So, and also, TNT, man, TNT is huge. For me, not besmirching any other promotion, there's a lot of good promotions over that way, but TNT is a very big name. I think they've got a huge social media presence.
Yes.
And they are very, very well known across the country. And obviously Jay's doing a banging job getting TNT established and known.
Yes, 100%.
But let's talk about, obviously, another promotion over there. Again, a very, very good promotion. Not, like I say, I'm not besmirching any other promotion. Wrestle Island, very, very good.
Well, again, Wrestle Island. I mean, I'm proud as punch to be a Wrestle Island. But again, for a different, everyone's different. Like Pete at Wrestle Island, he understands. He understands as well as near anyone that I have met his market. He understands. Pete is very smart. He's very, very smart, and he's a good guy, Pete, and we've always got on. But no one can deny Wrestle Island, because he packs that building out in Birkenhead with 300 people every single show. Every single show. and he's not got imports on. Very rarely he's got imports on or anything like that. They're all guys who've come up through him or on the local scene, and he has his market, he has his area, and he's brilliant at it, you know. And so of course he's brilliant at it. He's got a great roster there that you know, bring them crowds in for him as well. Some unreal talent on the Wrestle Island shows, and there's a lot of them because he's got the biggest roster I've ever known to man. Like I like he just comes up with matches to I think just so he can fit everybody that he likes on the shows, you know. But Pete's a good guy, and that's what I mean. But he was the second person who talked to me during lockdown. So before I actually started wrestling again, he was the second person, and again, Pete was taking a chance on me because he'd only seen bits of DPW, and there wasn't enough really to kind of hang your hat on it. You know, there was something there because of how much the crowd in DPW had started, but it you know, certainly from a technical standpoint, there was a lot to be desired. So he got behind me. But what drew me to Wrestle Island, and this is what I'm talking about, variety and differences, is Pete had that little market, that little area in, well, I say big area in Birkenhead, but it was what he was doing with the wrestling that drew me in there. So not so much directly just the wrestling. It was he was doing food banks for the homeless. He was using that promotion as like an anchor point to do good things, and that's a bit of me. That is certainly at my age now. That is a bit of me. Like if I get to dress up as a superhero every Saturday or Sunday, and people cheer, that's really nice. It's really very nice. But what's better is if I get to do that, but also genuinely make a bit of a difference as well. So, and that's what Wrestle Island does. And to be fair, nearly every company I work for does bits like that. TNT, I know, raises money for, you know, Jay's good like that. He tries to raise money for people who've got different illnesses and whatnot. But yeah, going back to Wrestle Island, it was just while I'm thinking there, Odyssey. I did a show in Blackpool for Odyssey for a good friend of mine. Who was a young lad who sadly he got hit by lightning and died, and we did a charity show for him in Blackpool, and we absolutely packed the building out, and we had his football team come, and we raised, it was a couple of thousand for him. It was a couple, I can't remember the top end, but it was good money, and we raised money for the children's charity that he was associated with, the kid. And he was called Jordan, and he was a friend of mine, and his mum and dad are friends of mine as well. Yeah, that's the sort of stuff. That is the sort of stuff that matters as well. But you know, like away from wrestling, I love wrestling, but when wrestling can be used for things like that as well, that's when it becomes more than just you know, a show, if you know what I mean. And so, yeah, that's what drew me going back then to Wrestle Island. So I at least give them their pop. They do a lot of that, and that drew me in. And again, when I got with them from day one, that crowd got behind me. I think they could see that I was very, you know, into that sort of stuff and trying to help with that sort of stuff. They got behind me, and then that built and built and built and built again, and I ended up winning their Rumble and built and built. And that was my most recent title victory. I just had a big match with one of the best younger talents, I think, in the country, in Lance Rivera, a lad who I personally think will be a big name as well. I think he'll be a big name. He's a big name now, but I think there's bigger things on the horizon for Lance. But irregardless, we just had that match, the main event match there at the last Wrestle Island show. I won the title, and that kind of made the Trinity for me there. You know, so big moment for me, and I'm just very grateful to all them three companies for giving me the ball, because I know I can be an asset to them. I know I can be an asset to anyone I work for, and I know I can do it in a way that will benefit them and their fans. So yeah, that's it really. I've just got to do what I say I'm doing, and rather than just keep talking, I've got to actually keep delivering. But so far so good.
Like I say, mate, you definitely do something right. You got the formula, whether it be, you've got the magic formula in a bottle. But yeah, massive shout out for Wrestle Island. I've known Pete for many years. Talked on and off for several years.
Yeah.
I know it obviously started as like a wrestling memorabilia shop in Birkenhead.
Yeah.
And then obviously he took the plunge and decided to start his own promotion.
Yeah.
And yeah, the rest is history. So obviously the guy's got his head screwed on. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Peter, I like Pete a lot, but in terms of the actual business, away from what I think of Pete or anything like that, you can't deny its success. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just literally, you cannot, away from anything with Wrestle Island, they've got it sussed. They have got it sussed, and credit where it's due. Do you know what I mean? Because that's like, especially in these times, to get people to pay their hard-earned money to come and watch a wrestling show on a Sunday afternoon. But he does it. So
that's it.
Now I'm going to do everything I can to help him continue to do that, and as well as Odyssey in Morecambe, as well as TNT, as well as Grand Pro, as well as Soft Pro that I'm working for now in Manchester, who's another friend of mine, Shotty. There's the Kingdom of Wrestling in Southport, who are great people who run that. That's a fantastic little promotion. There's just, it's been going about a year now, but again, I'm going to do everything I can from my side to be as big of an asset to them as I can be. There's another company I work for called Knockout Wrestling out in Barrow. Again, really brilliant, like niche crowd. They've got it sussed a little bit as well. They've got it sussed because they've got their crowd who they get in, and all I can hope to do for all of the companies really is be an asset and be part of a team, because that's what it is. It's a team job, and it's, if you're part of the team and we're all working in the same direction to sell as many tickets as we can, get as much exposure as we can for that show, and get more people in to come for the next show, while making everybody happy as well, including them fans who are coming. That's the magic bullet. And we've just got to all keep working towards that, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like I say, it's a lot harder than it sounds. Like you said, you've got such a wide audience base. As I said before, wrestling fans are fickle, man. We're a rowdy bunch at times. And as we've discussed, at the start of the chat, different fans want different things.
Yeah, of course they do.
You need to find that thing. You need to not make the perfect show, because no show is perfect. There's always room for improvement. But you need to get enough of the elements there that everybody goes home happy.
Of course they do. Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I don't think the promotions would keep going if they weren't doing it. So obviously, everyone's doing something right.
No. It's a bit like it's very similar, really, the way I think of it anyway. It's like a circus. Yeah. When you go to a circus, I mean, the circus has been one of the most popular and successful live shows of the last, I don't know, 100, 200 years, maybe. I don't know how long a long time. But not everybody likes every act on a circus.
No.
And it's exactly the same. I'm not trying to make us out to be a circus, but we're similar in a lot of ways. We're a variety act, and you don't have to like every single part of the show to say it's a great show. You might only like one part of the show, but enough to make you want to come back as well. So if you like every part of it, even better. But that takes time to get that kind of roster or them sort of acts that can do that for you consistently, you know. But yeah, it's a work in progress, isn't it? You know, for everybody, we're all we should all be punching in the same direction. You know, we want every company we work for to be successful, or I certainly do. You know, and I know nearly all of my friends and peers, you know, they're all great lads and girls, that they want the same thing as well. They want to put the best show on we can for the crowd, and hopefully get booked again on the next show because people want to see him. You know,
That's it. Like exactly. Yeah, that's what it comes back to. You know, let's just like say we talked about it before. It's just good business.
yeah, of course it is.
Approach it like a business. Treat it like a business. Obviously, have fun while you're doing it. Entertain. Get paid, and help any promotion you're involved in grow. That's it. That's
100%, mate. That's it.
But yeah, as I say, I think British wrestling is in a really good place at the minute. Anytime and everybody that I've spoken to over the last 12 months, it just seems to be getting stronger and stronger. You know, the talent out there is it's amazing. You guys are absolutely just, and for the most part, you're elevating each other, which is you know, awesome.
Again, the name of the game. You know, I know it can have its sort of reputation for being a selfish business because you're trying to make yourself the biggest kind of name you can for yourself. But I think what a lot of people, you know, don't see is you can only be the name you want to be if those around you are also matching you and challenging you and making you climb. Because again, you can only have a great hero or a great villain with their counterpart to it. You know, because no one cares about a great hero if he's got a shit villain. You know what I mean? You've got to have both, and again, we should all be trying to elevate each other and make each other better and big each other up because we need each other. It is. I said before, it's a team game. This is a team game, and the more we work as a team, overall, the better the product will be. I think.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you, and yeah, you're spot on. It's wrestling isn't just one person. It can never be just one person. You always need somebody else to to wrestle against, and a promotion can't just be one match every month. You know, you need to have X amount of people that are smashing it. So yeah,
there's got to be a rotating cycle of them as well, isn't it? Like you say, you can't just have a promotion with two good people on it, and that's it, or two people that the crowd are bothered about, and they're not bothered about the other 20. You know, because when them two have finished their feud, what happens then? What's the next step? You know, so we've all got it. Like I say, we're all going to work together, and we've got to try and make the best business we can do it. You know.
Definitely, dude. I've just seen that we've just hit the hour mark. We just flown by. I didn't even realise we was close.
Me and you are used to just jabbering on now, though, aren't we? We're 3 shows in. We're just, you know.
We should be struggling to hit like 20 minutes, but yeah, we've hit an hour just like that. So I'm sure there'll be a 4th show at some point down the line.
Yeah, I hope so.
When you become like the Grand Slam champion of the country. So do you want to plug your socials? Do you want to obviously get eyes on the prize?
Yeah, of course. If you've enjoyed listening to me, you want to kind of see what I'm up to, I'm on Twitter as RPD Fighter. All the companies that I've named before, I'm sure you will put up later on and tag them in and whatnot. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of who I work for, and I wouldn't work for them if I wasn't. And so, like I say, please come and watch the shows and give them a chance. If you've not been to live pro wrestling before, and you've only watched WWE or AEW or something like that, definitely worth giving it a try because I've had some great memories doing this now, and something I obviously have become very, very acclimatise to, and it's something that I've become very kind of passionate about to continue for myself. But also, I've seen genuine first-hand encounters with people who have come to watch these shows, and they live for it, and they have the best days out, and they really are the great days out. I take my little daughters come and watch me, which was amazing, and my nephew's a big fan, and he comes and watches, but he doesn't just come to watch me. He watches. He's got into the stories. He's got into the stories of all the shows, and he comes with my brother-in-law, but they bring friends with kids as well. And again, I've got them friends and kids into it, and they follow other shows that I'm not even on now. So they'll go to shows because they see a wrestler they like, and they find out he's on another location or she's on another location, and they'll go to that. So, it's a great live show, something that you should definitely experience and try out.
Definitely, fully agree with you. It's definitely the ripple effect. Like you say, you go to one show for one person, somebody else catches your eye, or somebody else catches your eye. They're on another show, that person's not. You go to that show, and it's just a ripple effect. Before you go into 4 or 5 different, and there's that many good promotions. I can guarantee you, no matter where you live in this country, you will have at least 3 or 4 awesome promotions on your doorstep, or within like 30 or 40 minutes, down the road. So I second what you say. Go watch wrestling. Go watch British wrestling. Support it. Show the talent some love. You guys deserve it. And this wraps up this episode. Thank you for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe. We will see you again very soon. And that's it. So thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Dude.